Hello students, welcome to part 6 of how to program the video game Dog's Dinner using Scratch. Now it's time to create the platforms. Dog's Dinner has 3 levels, so you need to create 3 sets of platforms. Each one will be a costume in the platform's sprite. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a new variable. So let's make sure that we're clicked on the data blocks and we'll make a new variable. Okay, make a variable and we will call that variable level. And then click OK. Let's uncheck the box so that it does not appear on the stage. Okay. All right, so let's click on the platform sprite. Now remember we drew this original platform, but it was only going to be a test. But we're going to create a script here. So let's go to events, okay? And let's go when I receive a message, and we're going to create a new message, and that new message is going to be setup. Click OK. Let's go to the looks blocks, okay? And let's go switch backdrop to. So switch backdrop to. And then we'll click on data blocks and we'll go to level. So the backdrop will be set to what level we're on. Let's go to the motion blocks and let's grab a go to XY block. Go to XY and then let's change the XY values to X of 0 and Y of 0. And we'll go back to the looks blocks and we'll switch costume. Switch costume to, and then we'll click on the data blocks and again level. Okay, so the backdrop will be set to level and then it'll switch costumes according to what level we are on. Okay, so let's click now on the costumes tab. Okay, just going to get rid of these ones. So we should only have the one costume here, the original test level that we created. Okay, so I'm going to click on the paintbrush and we're going to paint a couple new costumes. So let's click on the paintbrush. And in the top area here, you can type in the name of the costume. So we'll name the first one level 1, and then click on the paintbrush again, and we'll name this one level 2. And let's click on the paintbrush again, and we'll call the last one level 3. Okay. All right, so for the first test pattern that we created, we're going to click on that one, costume 1, and we're going to delete that one. So we only now have level 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work on the first level here. Okay? So way over here on the left-hand side in the stage area, info panel, let's click on that. And let's add a backdrop that's going to help us line up all of these little things that we're going to draw by hand. So we're going to choose a backdrop from the library, and then we're going to scroll down, and we're going to choose the XY grid. Okay, choose the XY grid and then click OK. All right, so let's click back on platforms, the platform sprite, and we're going to start with level 1. Okay, we're going to draw level 1 first. So level 1 is just a series of steps that we're going to create out of rectangles. So let's make sure that we're in bitmap mode. Okay, let's click on the rectangle tool. Let's make sure that the rectangle will fill in. And the first color we're going to start with is red. Okay, so I'm going to draw a small rectangle near the top left-hand corner. Okay, that's going to look about that size. Now, in order to activate or finalize that drawing, we have to make sure that we click outside of that rectangle. And we should see its position here on the XY axis here on our stage. Okay, so that positioning is pretty good, but it's not in the precise position. So what I want to do is I want to click on the select arrow, the select tool, sorry, and I want to draw a box around that rectangle, and then I want to move it to this position here. Now, it may not reflect the position change, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the stage again, and then I'm going to click back on platforms. And it should reflect that change now. I'm almost in the right spot. So I'm going to do that again. It would help if the XY grid were in our paint editor, but unfortunately it is not. So I should be able, now that I've selected it, I should be able to grab this and move it around pretty freely. So let me click outside of that position. It hasn't changed up here, so I'm going to click on the stage backdrop, and then I'm going to click back on platforms. Okay, so that's kind of where I want it to be. I want it to be in this grid here. So make sure you've kind of taken the time to move it around. I actually want to move it a little bit more to the right. Okay, so now I've lost the ability to click on it. So what I have to do is I have to create another box around it, and I should be able to move it to the right. I'm going to click off of it, and I'm going to click on the stage. I'm going to click back on platforms, and that's moved quite a bit, hasn't it? So what I should do is I should probably undo, see if I can undo. All right, so let me try that again. And I just want to move it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to click outside of that shape. I'm going to click on the stage, and I'm going to click back on platforms. Okay, that's not a bad spot for our first rectangle. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to click on the orange color. I want to click back on rectangle. I want to make sure that it's a filled in rectangle. I want to click on dark orange. So I want to create a step downwards here. So I'm going to create a little step. It doesn't have to be the exact same size as the other step. Okay, and then to finalize that drawing, I'm going to click outside of it, and it should appear on the XY grid here. So it's not a bad spot. So I want to move it a little bit low to the right. So again, I'm going to switch to the selection arrow to the selection tool. I'm going to draw a box around it, and I just want to move it to the right, and then click outside of it. And let's see, let's click on the stage, and let's click back on platforms. Okay, I actually want this block to kind of cross over the y-axis. So let me go back here. Let me click on the select tool, sorry, and draw a box around that, and let's move it over. Let's click outside of the shape. Let's click on the stage. Let's click back on platforms, and that's the exact position that I want that step. Okay, let's click back on the rectangle. Let's make sure that the rectangle's filled in. I'm going to choose a dark yellow. So I'm going to click on this color, and I want to draw another step downwards right here. Click outside of it. Let's see its position. So actually this one, I was very lucky. It's in the exact position that I want it to be. I want it to be above the x-axis here and just crossing over this line. Okay? All right. So make sure you're back on platforms. I'm going to change the color to a darker green. And then I want to create a step down here. I want to create a step that's kind of a little bit more distance downward. Okay, and then I'll have a look at where it is. So click outside of that rectangle. All right, so this is a little bit high here. So I'm going to click on the select tool. I'm going to draw a box around it and move it down. Click outside of it, and then click on the stage, and then click back on platforms. So this is still a little bit high. I want it to kind of cross over this horizontal line here. So let me select it again and drag it down just a little bit. Click outside of it, click on the stage, click on platforms. Okay, all right, I can bring it down a little bit farther. So let me just grab it here and move it down. Click outside, click on the stage, click on platforms. Okay, so it is touching that line there. All right, let's go back to rectangle tool. Let's make sure you click back on platforms. Click on the rectangle tool. Click on blue, and I want to create another step here, kind of a thick step in this case, and I can click outside of it and have a look at its position. So this is a good spot. I want it to the right of the y-axis, and I want it just underneath this horizontal line here. So I was pretty lucky there. All right, next rectangle is going to be purple, and I'm going to create a thin step kind of underneath that blue step or below that blue step right there. Click outside of it and have a look at its position. So this is actually in a good spot here. Okay. All right, the last block is going to be a darker red, and it's not going to be as thick. It's going to be a little bit skinnier, and I'm going to see where it is right there. Click outside and look at its position here. So it's a little bit low. So I'm going to go back to the select tool. I'm going to drag a box around it. I'm going to just move it a little bit higher and a little closer to the purple. Click outside of it, click on the stage, okay, and then click back on platforms. So that's a good spot for it right there. Okay, so it's very important that you kind of position these blocks fairly close to where I have them, because the rest of the program is determined by where these blocks are. So take your time and get this screen perfect. So this is a completion of level 1. Okay, so this concludes part 6 of the video game project Dog's Dinner. Thanks for watching. Bye.